These are terrifying scenes in the best of times. In the midst of the tightest national fuel squeeze in half a century, they seem worse. A fire at one of Australia's 2 fuel refineries, Viva Energy in Geelong, burned through the night and into the day. No workers or firefighters were hurt, but CEO Scott Wyatt said units that help produce petrol were damaged.
All the other units are still operating and still in production, but they're at minimum rates to maintain safety across the site. So we'll only start increasing production again once we're confident that we can do that safely.
In terms of what we find out there...
This afternoon, the refinery's general manager, Bill Patterson, said diesel and jet fuel production is continuing.
It hasn't been a very large impact at this stage, but obviously as we work through the full implications of the events of last night, we'll keep looking at that.
The fire was in this vicinity, and all this pipework needs to be all completely emptied.
Tony Hines is an organiser with the Australian Manufacturing Workers Union, which represents workers at the refinery. He was driving back to Geelong last night and noticed something didn't look right.
When I could see the flare going, and it looked a lot larger than what it would be, and usually the flare is an indication of, things aren't too good, going too well at the refinery. And as I got close, I could see a lot of smoke, and I knew straight away that it must have been a fire or something.
Hines says workers are thankful this fire started close to midnight, when staffing levels were low.
If it happened during the day, because that's when most of the workers are here, there could have been 30 to 50 people in there working in that area. People will be thinking how close they've come to possibly a serious injury, not death.
The fire's cause has been blamed on a suspected gas leak from a faulty component. Hines says the refinery has a good safety record.
They've got a good maintenance record here. There has been issues in the past we've had to deal with over my period of being organising here for nearly 15 years. There has been incidents in the past, but Viva have always been pretty open with us to an extent. They've already committed to us that that everything's going to be open, and they want to work with us to get to the root cause of what happened and then ensure it doesn't happen again.
The next step is to assess the damage.
We're going to miss 4 days of production, and then still it's going to be not at full production for months now. So it's what's happened in the last 24 hours, where now we've got a refinery that's not operating, what was producing and supplying 50% of Victorians' fuel. So it's going to have a massive impact.
Hang out like this long.
This afternoon, Energy Minister Chris Bowen moved to dispel speculation about the cause of the fire.
I was asked this morning, was it sabotage? There's no evidence of that. It appears to have been very accidental and equipment failure. There'll be further investigations. This is highly, making petrol is a highly dangerous and flammable exercise.
The Energy Minister said it's too early to determine how this will impact the levels of the National Fuel Security Plan.
Of course, this is one of the many things we'll consider. We consider the international supply chain environment, we consider the situation in Straits of Hormuz, we'll consider this, but this in and of itself doesn't lead to a decision to change levels.
Advertisements for the fuel plan have started rolling out.
To keep us moving, the government has been working to secure Australia's fuel supply and has a 4-level National Fuel Security Plan. We're now at level 2, and we all have a part to play.
Energy specialist Tony Wood from the Grattan Institute says regardless of this fire in Geelong, the government needs to prepare the nation for what may come next.
We may not be that far away from saying, look, we now need to move to level 3. Now, I don't know when that will be. What's important is the government communicates to people, this is where we are, this is now what's the impact, when we understand it better, of the impact of the refinery fire, and then we can start to say, okay, does that mean we are looking more seriously at these other levels? I don't think there's anything right or wrong here, but good communication is absolutely central.